Hello and welcome to my video on Packet Tracer 7.1.4 on using commands to test network functionality. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a variety of commands just to test how the network is working and to check various things such as interfaces, the route that the the packets used to travel through the network, as well as various other things. So first thing we need to do is hop onto PC1. And through PC1, we are going to establish a console session with router 1. So what we need to do first is just get the IP of router 1 here. Oh, sorry, switch 1. Never mind. So we just need to go desktop, terminal. Okay, we're going to go ahead and hit OK. Then it wants us to go into privileged exec mode. And then it wants us to do the show run. We're going to check out the configuration here on the switch. Looks like most of the interfaces are unused and unconfigured. And it looks like we have a VLAN 1 configured with a 192.168.2 address and a default gateway set up. The line V2I has been set up with a password, the 0 and 4 as well as the 5 and 15. Alright, then we're going to do show IP int brief. It just gives us a brief overview of all the interfaces. And it looks like 1, 2, 3, and 4 are up. Vast majority of the other ones are down, except for VLAN 1. Alright, so we're going to do show version. And the version, what it does is just shows us all the information about the switch, what flash version it has installed in it, which would be right up here. The information about the motherboard on the switch, the power supply. Keep going. The version ID for that particular router. The switch, the ports, the amount, the model it is, which this is a Cisco 2960-24 port. It says 26, but 24 usable ports. Alrighty. So we're going to go ahead and issue show CDP neighbors. And that will show us any neighbors for the EIGRP. And it looks like the interfaces R1 and R2 are the neighbors for the switch, which makes sense because you got the switch right here and R1 and R2. Alrighty. So we're going to do another command similar to that, but we're going to do show CDP neighbors detail. And this will give us a little more detail about each of those neighbors, R1 and R2. And you got the device R1 right here. Its IP address of 192.168.2.1. It's a Cisco 1841 router. And gives you information about the different ports. And it's running Cisco iOS software version 12.3. Alright, so alright, and it wants us to write down an IP address we can use to contact router 1, and we're going to use 192.168.2.1 because that is the one that I see there. So it wants us to ping the IP address of the router, which would be ping 192.168.2.1. And it looks like we're getting a reply there, and then it wants us to go ahead and telnet into that. So we're going to telnet that same IP address that I just typed out. And it wants the password of Cisco. Alright, and then it wants us to do the same commands we were issuing when we were accessing the switch. So check here, and you can see that these, unlike the switch, these interfaces have been set up, fully assigned an IP address as well as a subnet mask. I'm going to keep going down here, checking everything out. And you can see router ERGRP has the network advertising statement set up and no auto summarization turned on. Alrighty, we're going to do show IP, INT brief. Gives us a quick overview of those 4 ports that it's got on it. Then we're going to do show INT. Gives us information about the interface. As you can see here, it starts information about the fast Ethernet interface, including what type of encapsulation, its reliability, its MAC address, all kinds of information that you can use to just... And you can also see that its internet address for fast Ethernet 01, 192.168.1.5/30. And that's a whole lot of information about each of the ports. Alright, so we're going to do show version. And you can see here we're looking at the router through Telnet. Got the 12.3 version of Cisco's flash memory, or sorry, the flash iOS. And then you got all the legal jargon. Tells you how many bytes of memory it is using, how many it has available, what type of processor board it has, how many interfaces it has, which 2 fast Ethernet, 2 low-speed serial, 191K bytes of NVRAM. Alright, so we're going to do show IP proto. Gives us the protocols. EIGRP set up, as we could tell, and it's routing for those 2 networks, 1.0 and 2.0. Alrighty. And then we're going to do show IP, EIGRP nay. And it shows you that R1 is one of the neighbors. Well, this is R1, but it shows you all the IP addresses of its neighbors. So... And then we're going to go ahead and do show CDP neighbors detail. Oops, I spelled it wrong. And just like before, it gives you information about the neighbors. And instead of having R1 and R2, it has S1 and R3. And R2 as well, because of its position. Because you can see here, we're accessing R1, it's got R2, R3, and S1 being in the vicinity. Alrighty, and it wants me to do this with all the rest of the routers and switches, but that would take far too long and the information would be relatively the same, but just switched based on the position in the topology. So, not going to do that. Alrighty, but I did pretty much show you what you can do just to investigate several pieces of information about what's going on in your network, and it can be very useful for troubleshooting or just trying to find a certain problem and isolate it to a certain part of the network. Alright, well, I do thank you for watching my video on using commands to test network functionality. I hope you learned something today, and I hope you have yourself a great day.